Starting off with WatchMojo being the original slop that took over YouTube that nobody liked before AI took over. Naturally, WatchMojo embraced AI and nobody likes it.
From 250 million views every month to barely scraping together 5,000 on a day-old video, WatchMojo has officially lost its place as YouTube royalty. To many, they've always represented the worst aspects of corporate content, passionlessly pumping out video after video regardless of quality.
And today we're counting down our picks for the best comedic highlights of Speed's career.
Bro, oh my God, what is...
Despite the complaints, they managed to maintain their status as one of the platform's most popular for over a decade, with an office of full-time employees.
I think that the algorithm favored them because they were high quality enough, they were known enough, and they were just shitting out videos, and they had like 10 different channels.
And a dedicated viewership that kept up with their upload schedule. Today, however, their numbers have dwindled to a fraction of what they were. Their CEO is having mental breakdowns at his critics and using tragedies to promote AI-generated music, all while the empire he built is slowly but surely losing relevance. To really understand WatchMojo and the controversy it's facing today, you have to understand its founder, Ashkan Karbasfrushin. And I'm not saying this in the
"here's 20 minutes of fluff before we get into the real video"
sort of way. This guy and his mindset is actually behind all of their recent controversy. Ashkan is a Canadian businessman who worked in a finance role at an old search engine and is the head of ad sales at Ask Men. But by age 27, he was looking to start a venture of his own, specifically one centered around emerging web technology. Everyone knew that user-generated content was the future, and that included Ash. So he launched WatchMojo.com, described at the time as internet TV like you've never seen. Even this early on, you can see how growth-oriented he was, describing videos he hadn't even made yet as insightful, irreverent, and intelligent short film assets that cater to the burgeoning internet video market. But at this point, he didn't really know what supply he would actually be creating. All he knew was the demand. When people would ask me, "Where do you want this company to go?" I'd say, look, I'd like it to be the next Just for Laughs, Cirque du Soleil, Vice Media, and others in the media and entertainment industry. Given that all three of the brands he names here are completely different, it's obvious Ash didn't really care what it was he was making, just that it succeeded. So the early years of WatchMojo were he and his employees throwing everything at the wall. Don't know what jeans to wear? They got that. Want to hear Ash talk about the Mini Cooper?
Welcome to WatchMojo.com. When the Mini was launched in North America, driving was changed forever.
They got that. They got the top 5 spots in Houston. They got this guy playing guitar. An interview with Pierce the Veil. And who could forget Barack Obama? I've always wondered who this guy is, and hey, now there's a video. Thank God. From what I can tell, Ash was sending his employees across Canada and the United States to film literally anything that might be of interest. Many of these early WatchMojo videos fall more into the category of entertainment news than anything else, almost like MTV or VH1.
Freestyle motocross is the fastest growing action sport.
Sadly for them at the time, a vast majority of these videos were quickly forgotten about, some failing to even crack 1,000 views. They did see one video hit it big early on though. Guide to Belly Dancing Part 1 got 1.5 million views. If you check the comments, it's pretty clear why anyone cared about this, and its success would be a foreboding sign of what was to come. Meanwhile, Have a Very Jewish Christmas only got 1,000 views.
Well, what do you suggest?
This Christmas, give the gift of Judaism. Dreidels to get them spinning with excitement.
I don't know why people wouldn't be interested in how the Hasidim get down on the birthday of their biggest op. Seems like a pretty interesting video to me. But regardless, Bikini Village Fashion Show, 250,000 views. The History of Santa Claus, literally 1/100th of the views of their next upload. Bra size, how to measure your bust. At this point in time, more than ever, viral videos were much more of a thing than they are now. Today, people have figured out how to systematically farm viral clips. So the idea of one truly viral video has kind of fallen to the wayside. But back then, because the scope of the internet was much smaller than it is now, and much less prepared for someone looking to spam their way into success, Ash and his company found some very brief reprieve in these gooner bait videos. Thanks to these popular outliers and the sheer volume of content they were releasing, WatchMojo managed to rack up 13 million views in 2007 and 28 million in 2008. Unfortunately, their foray into Middle Eastern dancing content wasn't wasn't enough to make the business profitable. Despite an initial investment of $250,000, WatchMojo failed to make money in its first 6 years of business. At the time, they weren't even making money from YouTube ads, instead licensing their content to other companies like Yahoo, AOL, and Hulu. But even with that, the money simply wasn't enough to keep the business afloat. Ashcan reportedly took out a second mortgage on his house just to make sure the few employees he had got paid. He did try shopping around the business to investors, but no one cared because he didn't have a strong vision for what his company would be. WatchMojo was just making anything and everything without a clear focus. Despite the setbacks, their CEO was determined to make it work, and by 2011, they began experimenting with the formula that ultimately made WatchMojo a household name.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down the top 10 alien invasion movies.
In the early 2010s, list articles, or listicles, were all the rage. Outlets like BuzzFeed, Gawker, and the Huffington
I still use listicles because I'm a Linux user and I like to know the top 10 best apps of 2027.
Post would crank out easy-to-digest articles of every single subject. You slap together some factoids or characters or items and grade them on a scale of 1 to 10. Anyone looking up the search term you base the article around will find it. And it's easy engagement bait because people love debating what should be ranked higher or lower. Plus, they're just easy to make. If you have even cursory knowledge of any subject, you can pull 10 things out of your ass and make a list. And even if you don't know anything about it, you can just read some popular literature on that subject and then make it up along the way. The point of these articles was not journalism by any means. It was purely getting clicks to serve ads to customers. Ash recognized this potential and the supremacy of video over written articles.
And yeah, initially we wanted a video on every topic, but
I think the only thing that he didn't consider is A, reaction streamers, and B, people will copy what they're doing and just do it better, and C, AI.
yeah, after 6 years, when I would sit down with more experienced people like in New York or LA, they were like, it's impressive what you've built, but you lack focus. We said, we're going to focus on...
Yeah, you got to have a good video product, because if you're just about the listicles, then you're going to die, because I can just type it into an AI. 10 video games that I would love, and it can be personalized.
Pop culture, because these kids that were reading comic books in the 80s are now decision makers on Wall Street, Hollywood, Silicon Valley, and Madison Avenue.
So from 2012 to 2013, the sole focus of WatchMojo became combining the list article format with video. For the time, the idea of a top 10 video was actually kind of genius, speaking purely from a business standpoint. If you wanted to make your own video back then, you had to turn on a camera and record yourself. Then you had to edit it, and then you had to pray that someone would click on it, and you'd end up like Fred.
Oh my god, it's Weezer!
Plus, the appeal can always be lost if the person behind the channel falls out of favor in the public eye. But WatchMojo's top 10 lists only required a script and narration. For editing, they could just rip footage from the source material they talked about. And when it came to clicks, anyone searching for any topic on YouTube would immediately find one of their videos. Horror movies, gangsters, wars, infamous sports trades, rap songs, anything could be a top 10. And getting engagement was easy too. Not only were comment sections filled with people discussing or arguing their personal rankings, but viewers could also vote on the WatchMojo website, helping decide the next video topic and what the entries would be. With no one face of the channel, they wouldn't have to rely on if the public cared about the face of the brand. There was no face. It was just WatchMojo, more akin to a TV network than anything else.
God! Can you do the intro for us? Right now.
Ew, it's Tom Holland.
Welcome to WatchMojo. No way!
In 2013, they put out Top 10 Hilarious Movie Deaths, which soared to over 14 million views in half a year of its release. It beat out all of their other most popular uploads, including an interview with Justin Bieber and their 70th belly dancing video. The writing was on the wall that this would be their wave. So, after over half a decade of operation, WatchMojo finally became profitable. In January of 2013, the channel had 100,000 subscribers. Just 1 year later, it had 1.5 million. Fast forward again, and it's over 6 million, then 10 million. WatchMojo was more than a YouTube channel in its prime. It was a force of nature, the likes of which has only rarely been
everywhere.
seen. And the very thing that made them so hated later on was simultaneously the reason for their success.
Yep.
Most channels during
They're just everywhere, low quality.
during this time were
Low
run
effort.
entirely by their original creator. Even having a video editor was something only reserved for bigger channels who had money to spend on their output. Their appeal was personality. You watched Smosh to see Ian and Anthony. You watched Shane Dawson for Shane, or maybe for Shanae.
And then you started twerking, and then you shit your pants.
They all had that thing that made them special, but for WatchMojo, the narrator would often change from video to video, and they avoided making any
I really like the woman.
I statements so as to make the content as broadly appealing as possible.
I was like, YouTube does not need two things. One, it does not need another vlogger, and it doesn't need another multi-channel network, right?
Yes,
so
it does.
You wanted purposely to put the topic as the star of the video. So if you're watching
No, what people want is authenticity and good character.
10 Depeche Mode songs or top 10 scenes from, you know, Batman,
Right.
Batman or the Joker are the stars. It's not about I'm Joey and these are my takes, because we felt like there's a lot of people doing that.
From the beginning, there was no personality, so once they found the content that worked, they could simply pump out video after video while the yield was high. How could one guy in his bedroom ever compete with an entire staff of 45 writers, researchers, and editors tasked with uploading 5 to 6 videos every single day? In 2016, they were the second most subscribed to channel in Canada, and were pulling in 180 million views per month on average. If you were watching YouTube at this time, they were an inescapable force ready to cater to your interests. I vividly remember that right as I started watching a lot of YouTube around 2012, alongside Captain Sparkles and Minecraft song parodies, WatchMojo was a very steady part of my media diet. To their credit, the videos were always an easy watch, contained very little fluff, and although they continued the trend of getting hits on sexy clickbait, I guess who could blame them?
So this is exactly what's wrong right
And you got, what's the guys from Machinima? Nick and Larson? Top 10 for the win?
here. They have a scantily dressed woman showing her boobs. And of course sex sells on YouTube, so it's gonna get views. It has almost 1 million views already. But the title is also what's wrong. Top 10 WTF moments in anime. Okay. Why would anybody search this up?
But with how much success the brand received, they would also face some criticism. Part of this was due to general oversaturation. If you wanted to watch an actual personality with an opinion on YouTube, you probably got annoyed by WatchMojo's dominance of the suggested videos tab. And by the middle of their growth period, there was a general feeling among those more invested in the community aspect of YouTube that WatchMojo was part of a bigger problem. One of the fastest growing commentary channels during 2015 and 16 was I Hate Everything. And he set his sights on WatchMojo as the worst of corporate YouTube. When you're making 5 list videos a day, eventually you're gonna run out of normal ideas, and the topics are gonna get oddly specific.
The top 10 snow movies, or the top 10 booty songs. And I'm sure there are hard-working people at WatchMojo, but it comes across like they're working hard to get as much traffic as possible, instead of working hard for a healthy mixture of profit and passion.
People like Alex, who enjoyed more independent, personality-driven content, were turned off by WatchMojo's corporate strategy. YouTube's appeal in the first...
We started getting more, like, these top 10 channels popping up that did have personality, that would get real creative with things. It wouldn't just be like top 10 snow movies. It'd be like top 10 movies where a guy fought a bear.
First place was that it offered something other than the pure slop all over television. Instead, you could go watch a guy or girl that was just like you, an average person with opinions and artistic inclinations who wanted to explore it through the medium of video. Sure,
I think me and Turkey Tom might be the same person.
Their production may not be as slick, but that was the charm. WatchMojo was just doing what TV did, pumping out entertainment passionlessly with little concern other than profit, meaning there was some serious tension between them and people who were truly independent. This was also during a time when YouTube as a company was at odds with creators. From repeated criticisms of their yearly YouTube Rewind being filled with Hollywood celebrities and YouTubers with connections rather than people who were actually popular on the platform,
it's rewind time.
to rampant copyright abuse and channel terminations, people were just sick of YouTube becoming more of a cynical business than a place where people shared their passions.
And it's only getting worse and worse and worse. It's turning into fucking cable.
And could also make money. And what better representation than what was essentially a TV channel squatting on an independent creator's land? It's worth noting that even back then, the Watch...
Now they really want to be a TV channel on YouTube. As in, YouTube wants to be a TV channel to compete with, like, Netflix.
Mojo account supposedly left a comment on I Hate Everything's video, although it may have been deleted by them as I can't find it. Given Ash's behavior today, I'm guessing it was a very passive-aggressive essay where he bragged about his business acumen and then called his haters jealous. But the concerns went beyond general distaste for their approach. In August of 2017, WatchMojo was called out by YouTuber Guru Larry for stealing his research. Larry had uploaded a video about the worst-selling game consoles, as had WatchMojo.
That's what I was talking about. The top 10 people were starting to come out with their own listicles, with their own personality, with their own character.
With making a video about the same topic as another channel, or even using some of the info they gathered. The issue was that in their video, it was obvious that Mojo just ripped the research from Larry because they included several pieces of misinformation.
Wow,
this misinfo had been intentionally included by him in the hopes someone would take the bait and rip the video. It worked, and he was able to point out how lazy they were.
Dude, that the huge Goliath channel, WatchMojo, the 29th most watched YouTube channel of all time, with 15 million subscribers, had bloody plagiarized his work.
Larry actually got an email back from Ash directly to address what happened. In it, he's pretty upfront about the fact that the information was ripped, and says he's taking steps with his employees to ensure something so easily avoidable doesn't happen again. He also says that due to the misinformation present in the video, they decided to remove it entirely. However, there is one part of the email that the audience read as very backhanded. Had you not included false information in your video, we would have likely just acknowledged your complaint, apologized, and included a credit and link to your video. But largely due to the fact that you acknowledge publishing false info, we have decided to take it down. The misinformation Larry himself had in the video was just small details about numbers he made slightly off. So the idea that they removed it for being a decimal point or two inaccurate rather than the real reason facing backlash is not exactly honest. It's also important to note the inclusion of Ash's contingency plan for when someone complains about—
I'm glad they fell out of my algorithm.
About a WatchMojo video. It makes it clear that this kind of thing was just collateral that they were willing to take on in favor of keeping their relentless content farm running, instead of a genuine apology. The simple fact—
every once in a while, I'll see a WatchMojo or a Miss Mojo video pop up whenever I'm searching for something. Dude, I haven't watched a video like that in years.
Fact of the matter is that this instance of content theft not being caught is a result of WatchMojo's prolific output. They simply released too many videos to make sure that every single one of their 35 weekly uploads were without issue. But this flaw was also their strength, and the reason why general dislike of the channel wasn't enough to stop more casual audiences from watching. No one criticizing them could really make a dent, because even if you had a few 100,000 subscribers, WatchMojo had more than 10 million. From 2017 to 2023, their growth continued at a rate of about 2 million subscribers per year, until they topped out at 25 million in January of 2023. Meanwhile, the majority of monthly views were coming from their backlog, as the average video view count slowly but surely dipped to the lowest they had been since before they even made top 10s in the first place. What was once at least 100,000 views per video was barely 20k by early 2024. And it's not hard to figure out why if you look at their video topics. Top 10 recent discoveries that were immediately covered up. Is that— No, that's not him. That's not him. Anyway, top 75 snacks that don't exist anymore. Top 10 greatest ever exercise scenes in movies. And here we have a big yellow arrow going up this girl's butt. Oh, maybe you want to watch top 10 funniest iShow speed moments.
Welcome to WatchMojo.
Everybody wants that.
And today we're counting down our picks.
Riveting content.
Highlights of Speed's career.
Bro, oh my.
Don't you want to watch iShow Speed? Look at them abs.
Dog,
Look how black
These guys
he is.
are out of ideas. Some have speculated that diminishing viewership led to layoffs, causing the general quality to take a massive dip. For example, as pointed out by YouTuber English Ben, one video titled Top 20 Hardest to Get Items in Grand Theft Auto was filled with misinformation.
You'd think a slick muscle car like the Phoenix would be everywhere in San Andreas, but no. It doesn't spawn naturally anywhere.
That voice, dude. This was the guy that you got to be your voice actor? What are you doing?
Unless you're lucky during a San Fierro race or know some tricks with import-export lists, you're out of luck.
He's also got that gay black scent that nobody likes.
Even in the mission cutthroat business, it's only around for a second.
That is complete nonsense. There is absolutely no Phoenix spawn in cutthroat business. The mission that he's referring to is a home in the hills, because that's the car that Big Papa drives when he tries to escape from you. That could have been easily rectified with 5 seconds of fact checking.
Ben points out that the entire video is filled with inaccuracies. Before guessing
what they do, they just go online. It wasn't. I don't think they used AI. I think they just used somebody else's listicles and they just straight up ripped them, but they weren't doing videos, so they were like, we're gonna turn it into a video.
The writing itself was done by some AI model. Obviously, we don't have any direct proof for this, as we are not inside the office as these videos are made, but given how much Ash himself embraces AI in general, I doubt he's opposed to using it for help at the very least, if not fully relying on it for video scripts to cut back on costs. WatchMojo quietly removed their video after being called out, and because Ben's
Yeah, I think they might be doing it now, but I don't know. I think that they were doing a lot of ripping from other listicles.
Channel is relatively small, they never publicly acknowledged it. However, it does serve as an important sign of the story that was about to happen. On May 5th of 2026, YouTuber Voyan uploaded WatchMojo's downfall should be celebrated. He discusses his personal experience watching the channel when he was growing up and shares his personal criticisms of their format, from rage-bait thumbnails and videos to inaccuracies, and he finishes on a note about how, in his opinion, what makes YouTube good is individuality. Actual people making videos instead of large-scale content farms trying to rake in as much money as possible.
Dude, PBG is still one of my most watched single YouTubers. Mostly for his food content. I don't watch his video game content much. I watch him eat food.
He really describes that they don't have a vested interest in the list themselves, instead purely profiting off of the fandom around their topics. He points out how they make the same video multiple times,
Which would be fine if they were actually fans of the things they were talking about and doing lists of things they already talked about. It's cool to update. There's no soul.
Anything new to retread the topic and get some easy views. And he questions their top 10 videos about mass tragedies, explaining that the top 10 format...
We need a top 10 video that is top 10 top 10s to top the 10s.
Isn't the most sensitive when talking about something so serious.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down 10 of the most infamous mass shootings outside the United States.
It's a good point. I mean, how do you rank this? How do you realistically decide what goes where on the countdown? It's just a weird format to cover something so grim. Voyan's video is
the way you do it is you don't do a countdown, you do a count up. It doesn't have to always be a countdown, even if you're a countdown channel, because sometimes it just doesn't fucking work. Especially with something like mass shootings. You start at number 1, and you go to number 10, and you leave the most fucked up one right in the middle.
A good watch. But I don't think I have to be the first person to say that it's pretty tame. Most of these criticisms are things people had already felt about WatchMojo for years by the time it came out. This isn't to say that his opinions aren't his own, but instead to say that it's not like this video was super personally directed at the staff, or that he did anything that should have uniquely provoked a response from them. The only real novelty was that, as he notes in the title, their views have been declining for some time now. In a sane world, you would expect this video to have a positive reception, and you would expect WatchMojo as a company to continue posting 6 videos a day until the end of time, ignoring any and all criticism, because the goal of their channel isn't really quality or...
What about all the other channels? They got more than just WatchMojo.
Or some audience relationship anyway. But for some reason, this video was notable enough that the WatchMojo channel itself responded in what I can only describe as a short essay. The day no one talks you is the day you are irrelevant. So thank you. Okay, never heard of your channel, and I admit I didn't see the video, but a few points. In 2006, when
I think it was supposed to say talks about you, not talks you.
Started, we were obviously a bit ahead of the curve. In 2012, when every channel was some vlogger sitting on the couch, we mastered our signature style, and many cried as it looked more like VH1 or MTV or ESPN, and not...
You sound like such a pretentious prick.
What the vocal minority viewed as YouTube content. The challenge in media is staying relevant, keeping your audience guessing. Companies like BuzzFeed, Vice, and Vox...
It is not. The challenge is creating stuff that you want to create. All the rest of it is staying relevant. You're just being greedy. You're just thinking all about money. What if the money starts drying up? Then you start to inshitify like all the other corpos? Go fuck yourself. This is why people don't like you.
And channels that inspired themselves by us, by their own admission, all came and went. We managed to both keep our OG fans happy and innovate. If by downfall you mean being a survivor, having over 100 full-time employees who earn their living with us, then I will take it. Also, this may be...
Who's a fan of WatchMojo? Who was ever a fan of WatchMojo? I mean, like, I can get watching it often, but who's gonna be buying WatchMojo merch?
inside baseball, but you are aware that advertising-based video is YouTube 1.0 and the platform has evolved, right? I could break it down for you, but why bother? Viewers are spending nearly an hour per watch session watching our content. We are, in the ways that matter, more pertinent than ever. As per SoundMojo, again, think of 2012 when the vocal minority whined, and then we got the last laugh. Haters, envious, jealous people are fuel to our
This is some Pokemon-ass energy right here.
fire. This one comment would ignite a controversy spanning several weeks, wherein WatchMojo was relentlessly mocked and the most high-profile mentions the channel has had since their peak about a decade ago. But why was it made in the first place? The idea that this video from Voyen somehow posed a threat to the WatchMojo channel is just not true. The people who saw it are not WatchMojo viewers. The only people still watching their top 10s are children and boomers who don't know about real videos yet. The reason this comment exists is that it
And I'll watch like one a year just to see what they're doing.
hurt its writer's ego. If opening on an any publicity is good publicity line isn't enough of a tell, the next best part is the bragging about how WatchMojo mastered their signature style and how the channel is still—
They didn't. You know who mastered it? Game Ranks. There are people who refined the top 10s and are sticking to their audience, not just trying to scattershot, throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks.
Still around despite other similar content farms dying off years ago. But the biggest tell on who wrote this comment is the ending. Not the whole thing about haters, envious, jealous people, but instead the line about SoundMojo and the link. It leads to contextisking.com, the CEO Ashcan's personal blog. And the article he links here specifically is him explaining what SoundMojo is. His personal AI-generated music project. Ash describes that after becoming more passionate about traditional Persian and classical music, he wanted to create modern renditions that would be more understandable for a general audience. He compares the advent of AI to the electric guitar in terms of its relevance to culture.
I think that's right, and I also don't mind, especially for like background music and stuff. But when you're such a fucking prick about everything, we know that you're just using it to cut corners, which is also fine, but don't be a fucking prick about it, man.
Or getting into the AI metal songs he's been making.
I like AI metal.
Are you guys hearing this? You know, I heard someone—
I think that's fine, actually.
Say once you should thank God even when you're suffering. Keep in mind, SoundMojo wasn't even really talked about in the video Voyen made, but Ash specifically chose to link it anyway. The reason for this is, 1, Ash loves generative AI, and 2, he had been facing criticism in the comments of the AI metal song itself, so he just assumed that this Voyen video had something to do with that, even though it didn't. I personally am not really intrinsically opposed to AI for any reason other than that most of the stuff created by it is absolute soulless garbage, and this definitely falls into that category. So why would literally any person with a functioning brain go out of their way to listen to SoundMojo? To quote Ash, technology has always expanded the boundaries of music.
I think really it's more like they're wanting you to use the music for like background and stuff. Unless he really does want people to just sit back and listen to AI music, that's not happening, bro. AI music is mostly for memes. Memes and background.
From electric guitars to synthesizers. I believe AI represents the next frontier, enabling artists to experiment, iterate, and create in new ways. While I remain cautious about fully embracing it, I see it as a powerful tool for prototyping and ideation.
Yeah, he's right, but he's still a fucking prick, so nobody cares.
This specific focus on artificial intelligence also makes me think that English Ben was right on the money when he speculated that WatchMojo uses it to write their videos. And on that note, I'm really surprised that no one else who has talked about the WatchMojo controversy has really gone through Ash's blog more, because
I'd like to know which AI they're using.
There are a lot of interesting tidbits. For example, he wants to make movies and TV shows, with one of them being set in a fictional version of his office where he is the main character. The ambitious head of a rising YouTube channel, The Count, struggles to wrangle his wildly diverse staff while navigating the non-stop pressure of innovation. The daily mission to crank out—
You can't diversify anymore. There's too much out there. You have to niche down.
Fresh pop culture top 10 lists that fuel the channel and the chaos. Each episode is anchored around a list driving the story, diving into office politics, fleeting friendships, and generational clashes among staff. Cynical Gen Xers, idealistic—
This sounds like it would be really good if it was, you know, an actual studio doing something like this, not Watch fucking Mojo.
Millennials and unpredictable Gen Zers, all obsessed with ranking everything. Ashcan claims to have an entire show bible written about this, with characters, season summaries, and episode-by-episode breakdowns. I really hope he somehow convinces someone to give him money to make this. Without AI, preferably, because whatever this would be absolutely magical. I'll just state the obvious here. Ash's ideas on what makes cool music and what makes good TV read very much like a dude in his 40s who became a successful entrepreneur and now thinks that business savvy means he can work in creative fields. People who make good music and TV generally spend their entire lives doing it, or at the very least, they spend their entire lives working in creative fields in general. At this point, Ashcan has been spending his entire life running a channel that pumps out easily digestible trash, which is why his best idea is the daily mission to crank out fresh pop culture top 10 lists that fuel the channel. So despite him not watching Voyan's video,
maybe should have pivoted away from just doing top 10s, and like Game Ranks, I'm gonna bring them up again because they don't just do top 10s. They'll do a commentary video, they'll do a news video, they'll do multiple news videos, they'll do like top 20 weird stories of the month.
It's very clear that its existence rubbed Ash the wrong way. He continued to have a slap fight in the comments section, coping about how the very idea people even thought about WatchMojo enough to hate it somehow meant the channel still had relevance. He was leaving so many comments that people said he was crashing.
All publicity is good publicity, am I right?
Out, and in response, he linked a new t-shirt on the WatchMojo store with the text, running out of ideas since 2006, crashing out since 2026, with some very nice clip art thrown on it. And the description for this t-shirt is one of the greatest things I have ever had the pleasure of reading. When the internet says you're crashing out, you don't apologize, you monetize. This unapologetically chaotic tee turns peak controversy into wearable legend, blending satire, self-awareness, and pure cultural irreverence into one gloriously unhinged statement piece. Now that is just epic. I'm gonna throw in some of my own personal speculation here. Ash is a big fan of rock and metal based on the channel's early list talking about a lot of popular bands and many of the channel's early videos being guitar playthroughs. I think he has it in his head that WatchMojo is some sort of like Nickelback type brand where, as hated as they are, they're still successful. The difference being that Nickelback is actually a massively popular touring rock act that has basically maintained their popularity throughout the peak of their hatred by selling out arenas, because what they make
and the hatred against Nickelback was mostly a meme. Most people who hated on Nickelback didn't like Nickelback anyway. I liked Nickelback, and then I bought into the memes, and then I circled right back around because everything got all weird and gay, and Nickelback just stayed Nickelback. So I like Nickelback again. Same with Creed.
Does actually connect with a certain percentage of people. WatchMojo is not a band. It does not connect with anyone. It is a dying YouTube channel that pumped out so much garbage that most people got bored and forgot about it entirely. The fact that the CEO was angry enough about this one video to spend his highly valuable time arguing with randoms was not lost on people. And within 1 week, it had made its way to Moist Critical, the biggest commentary channel on YouTube.
It's just a really baffling decision because they didn't need to like respond to it or anything. Maybe it is just like one person who has the password to the account that felt personally attacked by it. Maybe it's the owner. I don't know.
For 10 minutes straight, he makes fun of Ash's comment meltdown to an audience of millions. And to many, it was the first time they had even thought about WatchMojo in years. But Ash wasn't about to take this one lying down either. He left another comment where the cope has once again reached new levels. The funniest part is half the comments are, "I haven't watched WatchMojo in 10 years," followed immediately by incredibly detailed opinions about our current thumbnails, upload strategy, AI testing, and programming slate. Whatever you do, don't visit the channel, and definitely don't leave angry comments, because now the algorithm thinks you're obsessed with us and will happily serve you WatchMojo clips for the next 7 years. Mission accomplished. Never
that's
change
not how it
YouTube.
Works. Yeah, they changed all the time. They thought that a change would be good for them, but eventually they decided, well, we don't want to just feed people content that they hate. We want people to have a good time on YouTube.
In a way, he's right that people commenting about how they don't like something will fool the algorithm into artificially boosting it.
For a while,
Clivicular, for example, got extremely famous at the end of 2025 thanks to his army of clippers spamming out his content just to get any reaction. The problem is that when the novelty wears off, there's usually not much consistent viewership left. When was the last time you heard about Clivicular? Sure, his clips got billions of views, but only an extremely small fraction of that translated to a real audience. For WatchMojo, people making fun of Ash's unprofessionalism and criticizing the low-quality videos is not enough to translate into real viewers returning to the channel. Instead, it only invited more scrutiny. On May 31st of 2026, WatchMojo uploaded 10 YouTubers who made videos when they knew they were dying.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're exploring the most heartbreaking times when beloved YouTubers continued making and releasing videos despite having terminal illnesses.
Yeah, Ed now has to animate from a bed while he goes to this bout.
I'd rather watch it from somebody else. I'm not watching it from WatchMojo because they're soulless. I want to watch from somebody who actually cares about YouTube.
Chemotherapy.
Even though it predates the controversy itself, a video like this was obviously going to get some negative attention. On one hand, it's a list video going over not just people who have since passed away, but they're also all YouTubers with audiences that are still on the platform. Meaning, if this video's approach wasn't sensitive or came across like slop, then it would be very easy for people who wouldn't like it to see it. The entire runtime has this weirdly upbeat stock music as the narration plays, and then they'll just do a hard cut from that to all of these guys saying, "I'm about to die," and it's pretty off-putting.
That is an aggressive form of cancer.
Unfortunately, in 2018, shortly after announcing his secret wedding, Thomas confirmed that there was no more treatment available for him.
This is where Jax Films enters the picture. He's a YouTuber who's been on the platform for 20 years.
I used to watch Jax Films back when he had a fake feud with PewDiePie, and they were just stealing each other's content. It was absolute cinema back in the low-I days.
And more recently, he's pivoted into commentary videos where he calls out plagiarism, content that relies on AI, and stuff that he and the general public would consider slop. Obviously, WatchMojo fell into that category. So he began covering the story once he saw Ash's meltdown in various comment sections. One member of his Discord sent him the video about YouTubers with terminal illnesses, and after pointing out the insensitive nature of the video itself,
so they monetized 10 YouTubers who made videos when they knew they were dying.
He then,
which I think is fine still, if you actually care and you're not just in it for the money.
and draws attention to something in between the final two entries. The second to last entry discusses Total Biscuit, a British gaming YouTuber who passed away in 2018. Many of his friends and collaborators are still on YouTube today, which is...
I was very much into that space, into the gaming commentary space of like 2016 to 2018. That included the aftermath of people like Jim Sterling. I think his fall is what turned him into her.
Is significant because if someone were to disrespect his legacy, it's more than likely that they would see it. Following this segment, WatchMojo has an advertisement for SoundMojo, Ash's AI-generated music project.
He sadly passed away, causing several video games to honor Bane's legacy.
Before we continue, check out this single from SoundMojo's album Balance. Classical music reimagined as rock, hard rock, and metal.
They immediately follow this up with their top pick, Technoblade, a Minecraft YouTuber, but more importantly, an extremely beloved creator who passed away in 2022. The juxtaposition of sandwiching two sections about YouTubers who got cancer and passed away around an ad for an AI-generated metal song is so funny, but also
it's
so morbid.
So
even with how little care WatchMojo obviously has for any of the things they talk about as a channel, I don't know how a single employee didn't see this and say, wow, I think this would probably be a bad idea.
Don't care.
People would not like this thing.
Yeah, it's just a job for whoever's working there. I'm sure that they pushed out all of the actual people with souls
that we're going to do. I know they have a very content-first approach to everything, but even if they were thinking in the most sociopathic way possible, where self-preservation and making money was their top concern, it should have been obvious to anyone with a brain that this was not going to go over well.
Before we continue counting off these dead YouTubers, check out this song.
Jack decided to investigate the comment section of the video, where he found the SoundMojo account arguing with anyone who didn't like the AI music, who he speculated to be Ashcan. I'll spoil it now, it's him. The way he types is one-to-one with how he commented on Voyan's video. He talks about SoundMojo on his blog. There is no way that anyone cares about AI metal music more than the CEO of WatchMojo.com. One commenter pointed out that Ash should label these uploads as using generative AI so as not to deceive people people into thinking it's a real artist. Given that the only indication he gave was
You
on
think
his
they
blog,
care enough?
Ash responded by saying, "What a generation of whiners.
I'm
Don't
the
like something? Steer clear,
artist.
mate. Get off your high horse. We produce content for fans, not for blowhards who go around preaching for a bunch of wankers." This makes me genuinely
You don't
curious
have
if
fans.
Ash thinks there's some diehard audience of WatchMojo fans just waiting to rise up and defend him.
Hey kid, back off.
So out of touch.
WatchMojo.
Even back in the day when the channel was doing well, I don't think anyone was saying, "I'm a WatchMojo fan," or buying their merch.
All new t-shirts
That's what I
with all new
said.
designs that show off everything you love about WatchMojo.
Put this in your Hinge bio. See how that goes. In the comments, you can really see how Ash's view of himself as an accomplished entrepreneur and somewhat of an art pioneer shines through. The same commenter from before says, "Asking for transparency and truth in advertising is not preaching. Your channel is not being upfront about generative AI to catch those who haven't learned to recognize it. Practice what you preach and get off your high
Which is just
horse.
old
Your
people
behavior is why
and
prompters
children.
are regarded as frauds." Ash responds with, "I throw out insults because I'm tired of self-aggrandizing twats complaining about everything and anything. No one
Don't get mad on the internet, bro. You just make yourself look fucking ridiculous.
said F all when WatchMojo lost money for 6 years, and we retained humans and didn't become a content farm. If a channel pumping out 7 videos a day with titles like Top 10 Greatest Supergirl Moments, 20 Recent Movies with the Most Nude Scenes, and Top 75 Things Everyone Gets Wrong About Famous Movies, all
I could see the nude scenes being good. That being a good watchable video. But the Supergirl moments, no. Everybody shit on Supergirl.
uploaded in a 24-hour period is not a content farm, then I don't know what is. And here's the thing, I don't even really care, and I don't think anybody really does. Sure, these videos suck, but I don't think anybody's gonna let WatchMojo ruminate and stew in their head for years on end. Especially not out of jealousy, because if anyone wanted to, the formula is there. You can just do it yourself. No one is waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat saying, "God damn you, WatchMojo. It should have been me." Ash doesn't realize that him breaking the veneer of a professional channel to brag and put down people who have light criticism of his AI music project is more of a story than anything else his personal media empire has done in at least a decade. From here, the story made its way to Twitter, and Total Biscuit's widow became aware of WatchMojo's tributes to her late husband. My late husband, Total Biscuit, being mentioned in a lazy listicle video by WatchMojo called 10 YouTubers who made videos when they knew they were dying is tasteless enough. Plugging their AI slop music project in it as well, unforgivable. You should be ashamed. This tweet got more likes than any video WatchMojo has posted in the last month, before the story was boosted once again by Critical in a video that passed 3 million views.
And Ashcan is down here in the trenches doing battle yet again.
Initially, it seemed like Ashcan wasn't going to back down, opting instead to call his critics retarded and accuse those commenting negatively of crashing out themselves. But with so much pushback, it seems like someone a little less testy within the WatchMojo company finally felt enough pressure to acquiesce. And also to unplug Ashcan's router because this guy cannot help himself.
Yeah,
they
he
removed
needs
the
to be off
segment
the
where
internet.
SoundMojo was promoted before updating the description to say,
I don't think you should be forced off the internet. I think he himself should come to the decision that he needs to be off the internet. Because holy shit, he does not know how to use it.
recognize the unintended accidental insensitivity. 100% of the proceeds from this video will
You're
go
just a
to our
dick.
charitable initiative Mojo Gives, which donates to charities including colon cancer. Clearly,
Who
this statement
cares?
was not written by Ash himself.
Yeah, who cares? I donate to charity. Look, guys, I'm actually a good guy. You guys are all just haters.
Based on the lack of snarky one-liners or calling people wankers. So I guess someone who actually wanted to prevent further reputational harm was behind this one. But in the midst of the drama, someone posted a thread to the Ask Me Anything subreddit, claiming to be a former contributor to the channel. When questioned about the SoundMojo ad placement, this is what they said. "I don't know whether the AI music ad decision was a deliberate attempt to drive attention towards the project, or simply a lack of editorial oversight, but neither explanation is particularly flattering. If it was deliberate, I don't believe there wasn't someone internally who didn't at least consider that it would have backlash. Just likely that voice wasn't heard. If it wasn't deliberate, then it suggests a level of drift inside the company where something that should probably have raised concerns didn't." Ashcan's likely the one commenting, and this isn't actually anything new. The outbursts have just put a spotlight on it. I think this is accurate based on two things. Firstly,
It's a bunch of old people who used to know how to manipulate the algorithm because they knew how it worked. But now you can't manipulate the algorithm anymore unless you just shit out AI.
deleted comment on the I Hate Everything video from years ago, and secondly, a statement Ashcan made on his blog where he says that he used to live in comment sections over a 5-year period. There's likely many crash outs that have simply been lost to time due to Ash wiping his socials or people just not realizing he was the one engaging. It's also important to consider the idea that
it does not help to wipe your socials. It just pisses people off when they can't look into things that you've done or said.
At least one person who saw that video going out must have thought the AI music ad was a bad idea on that specific video. As this former WatchMojo contributor says, whoever they are, maybe they didn't care enough to say anything. Maybe a higher up had a specific memo to push the ad through regardless
They don't get paid
context.
enough to care.
While we may never know the full details, the Reddit user claims that many employees or contractors left around 2024 and 2025, which could explain why there's been a dip in quality control.
Dude, contractors being used in these, like, corporations and these bigger channels and Twitch streamers and everything, that needs to stop. It's just ruining things, man. Bungie just contracts everything. I guarantee you Activision does it. Fucking, Halo Studios is very much known that Halo Infinite was pretty much just made by contractors.
Even by the standards of the WatchMojo channel. My best guess for why Ashcan is so active in comment sections is that he himself doesn't contribute much to the channel at this
he's just terminally online.
Point in time. Hence why he spends his days on Grok trying to combine Megadeth and Beethoven and writing long paragraphs towards...
Is he actually using Grok? There's no way.
His haters. And while he initially didn't watch the video by Voyen at the time of his comment, it seems he did eventually sit through it, along with all of the other recent videos about WatchMojo, as he posted a long blog on Context is King directly referencing the public backlash. I love this guy's writing style because every time he says anything, he can't help but open it with something like, from 2012 to 2016, we grew from less than 10 employees to over 50, as our subscribers went...
You can really hear the scripting. I wonder how long it took him to write this. Or, I wonder how long it took the AI to generate this.
From 10,000 to 15 million. In our 20-plus year history, we've experienced many company life stage cycles, and I'd say we're now in our third growth period. In case anybody reading this forgot that this is coming from the founder of the hit YouTube channel,
WatchMojo.com.
This is equivalent to some washed-up unk talking about how high school rocked, and he could bench 225 in his prime. No one cares. Time moves on, and if it still mattered, you wouldn't be reminding everyone about it all the time. I have two theories for why he's like this. A, this is Ash's personal mental hang-up, and he'll never get over the time WatchMojo was big on YouTube because this is all he personally has to hang his hat on at the end of the day. Or B, he has beaten himself into a permanent self-promoting corporate speak because it...
This is what you get. This is what happens whenever you spend your life chasing money more and more, bigger and bigger.
Unfortunately was extremely effective for him at one point in time. Because he's been rewarded for talking like this, selectively ignoring all negative things, and exclusively focusing on how he's the GOAT and his inventions are innovative and brilliant, he just continues to do so in the hopes he'll catch lightning in a bottle a second time and some billionaire investor is gonna shovel over a pile of money. Something tells me that won't happen. But in this blog, he does directly respond to the criticism of the top 10 dead YouTubers video. Media companies inevitably cover tragic events, crimes, disasters, and controversial subjects. WatchMojo has covered people through biographies, profiles, and lists, and we have always honored those who passed away with tributes. People magazine featured Princess Diana on a special edition issue that was its bestseller until its 9/11 issue. And while some people objected to it, print media never gave its readers the same power that online media does. He then says that he specifically created Mojo Gives, their charitable effort, to mitigate criticism that they may get for profiting off of tragedy or sensitive issues. I'm not kidding, this is a direct quote. Recognizing that and understanding that YouTube was not traditional media, a decade ago we launched Mojo Gives, which simply identified a relevant cause through which we passed the proceeds. I can't imagine a stranger thing to say out loud, but even if we push that aside, Ash clearly fails to understand the criticism being made.
You can't hate us, look at all the good things we did.
There are plenty of channels that cover controversial events, from true crime channels to war documentaries to interviews with criminals. The reason why some channels get put...
I can think of way better channels that do all of those things than WatchMojo. Like, I'm probably, for like war stuff, I'm going to unsubscribe guys like Fat Electrician.
pushback and some do not is generally their approach. If you're going to talk about something serious, the expectation is that you treat it with some humanity. Your video should recognize the broader social implications of what you're talking about. It should treat those involved as real people rather than just a story to slap into your content and laugh at. If you're not going to do that, then that's also fine, but you shouldn't expect that everyone who sees your stuff is going to respect it. That's the difference.
And the longer you go on with this energy, the more people will fall off to find people who actually have a fucking soul.
Made plenty of videos about true crime with little...
Like, it's the same reason that Xbox and PlayStation are failing right now, because they lost their soul.
To no pushback. And the reason why is not because I'm some amazing journalist or that I donated my profits to charity, because neither of those things are true. I'm just a guy who finds those things interesting. I've even made true crime videos that are a list of similar topics that I group together for ease of viewing,
which I'd rather
as
watch.
have many others. The difference is I don't promote AI generated music in between upbeat royalty-free music played behind me reading 4 sentences from someone.
Yeah, that's fine. All that is fine. It's just, don't be a fucking dick. Don't be fake. Have a soul.
One's Wikipedia about how they died. If Ash wants WatchMojo to be taken seriously, then he and his employees need to treat what they talk about with that same seriousness. And that brings me to my next point, WatchMojo's lack of identity. In the 20th century, the goal of media was generally to cater to as many people as possible. Society existed in more of a monoculture. Everyone listened to the Beatles. They all watched the same movies. They all watched the same TV shows because there was simply less to go around. TV had 100 channels to watch. Movies were mostly made by big budget producers, and albums could only be sold through record labels who controlled the means of distribution through physical media sales. In the 1990s, and especially the early 2000s, this all began to change as consumer technology improved. Now, anyone could buy a camera and video editing software and make something, and when YouTube came around, anyone could post it online. Suddenly, whatever your specific interest was, there was an avenue to watch it, and people like you were out there making what you wanted to see. The WatchMojo channel began on one hand, functioning like TV, but on the other, it was able to cater to specific fandoms and topics. Ash often talks about how valuable the explosion of so-called geek and nerd culture was to WatchMojo's rise.
And then, you know, we could see that like kids who were reading comic books would grow up to be decision makers on Madison Avenue and Hollywood, and we were like, hey, what you're seeing now with Big Bang Theory becoming the #1 show on TV, or the MCU universe being the biggest box office generator, these were all like niche ideas. You know, the nerds or the geeks have taken over. We were kind of like, it seems like this will get bigger.
So in the early 2010s, whatever you were passionate about had content for it online. And WatchMojo became the most popular on YouTube because as a company, they could produce more videos than anyone else. From Star Wars to anime to internet culture like creepypastas, they were able to pillage every single interest. But as time passed and their catalog grew to tens of thousands of videos, they ran out of ideas and the entire channel became redundant.
Yeah, whenever it comes to anime, I'm going to Anime Man. When it comes to video games, I'm going to Game Ranks. It's just like all the things they're trying to do are just done better by others.
For viewers. As Voyan pointed out, they make the same video again and again with 1 or 2 entries updated. And as they were completely oversaturating the market to the point people were annoyed anytime WatchMojo was in their recommended, other more personality-driven channels began to occupy those niches instead. Channels run by people who actually cared about the topics they discussed, rather than a faceless shadow that had no personal investment beyond their own job security.
And they're not gonna yell at people who are criticizing their videos.
All of this begs the question, who is WatchMojo really for? Who is the video top 10 best pop culture references in Free Guy for?
That is for the money. That's for the algorithm. It's not for actual real people who want to watch stuff.
Are iShowSpeed fans really clamoring to watch top 10 funniest iShowSpeed moments?
No.
Who is going to watch 10 reasons why the Groypers are so controversial from WatchMojo? The answer is, out of more than 25 million people who have at the very least been aware enough of WatchMojo to subscribe to them, generally less than 10,000 people on any given video. And that's just a matter of fact. Ironically, the WatchMojo channel is now back where it started, barely getting any significant viewership, except when they make a Gooner owner bait title and thumbnail. Perhaps
How
the
about
greatest
that?
irony
That's
is
the
that
future.
if Ash had never left that comment on the Voyan video in the first place, then Critical, Jax Films, Diesel Patches, and hundreds of other commentary
Son of a
channels
bitch.
never would have even remembered that WatchMojo existed.
Did it
Ash ends his
yourself.
blog by saying he's learned his lesson about arguing with people in comment sections and has no intention to do so in the future. We'll see how long that lasts. I've been Turkey Tom, thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone.
That was a good video. I like that. Moving on!